Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we have a new video in the flower series talking all about marigolds, and I absolutely love these in the garden. They have so many uses and they're just also very vibrant and happy flower. As always, we start with a little bit of research so we can actually look at the shape of the flower, but also since we like to garden, we're going to talk a little bit about the flower, which I think is really cool. So this is one of the most popular annual flowers in North America. You probably see them, if not in your own garden, but also out and around different cities. I know in Guelph we have a ton of these in city parks all over the place, and I love seeing the different varieties in people's gardens. There's actually over 50 varieties or species of marigolds, so lots of different types here in different places in North America. These are also seen at festivals and weddings and religious events due to their origin, which is really interesting to read about. And they're great for repelling insects. These are fabulous in the garden. If you are planting any vegetables, these are companion plants for tomatoes, eggplants, and potatoes. They're also just a really low maintenance plant, which is great because you don't have to give them a lot of attention and they'll do fabulous. Something else I love about these is that butterflies love them. So if you plant them in your garden, they're very rich in nectar and they will attract lots of different butterflies. They are also used in dyes for fabrics and wool. So they have lots of uses not only in your garden, but also outside of your garden too. So if you plant them, you're gonna be able to do a lot of really cool things with them. So as always, I am just doing some research here. Do your own research as well. I do this for every video to get an idea of the different colors that we can look at, and of course the shape, because that's really the most important. Feel free to go as vibrant and realistic with this as you would like to. As always, for me, I have a little bit more of a whimsical style, so I'm not looking for hyper realism here, but I do like to get an idea of the shape and of the colors. So I'm going to be focusing more on the gold part of marigolds. For this purposes of this tutorial, I have later on in the video a little bit more of a brighter marigold that I'll share. But as always, once again, use what you have and be inspired with whatever colors move you. So looking at the shapes here, it's really just one shape that is repeated and layered over and over and over and over again. So there's going to be lots of layering with these flowers when you go to make them, depending on your variety. I'm going to focus on the ones that look like they kind of have a corn kernel shape, and that's kind of the shape description that I'm going with in my mind, and layering that over and over and over again with different tints, shades, and tones of the yellows, oranges, and reds that I have on hand. Of course, if you want to shop any of the wool that I'm using in this video, please go to my website and check out all of the hues I have there. All of them are available in many different weight of grams. I also have different packages of colors that you can choose from, so blue packs, green packs, etc. That will help you if you want to achieve the look that I am going for. So without further ado, let's jump into actually creating this beautiful annual. So getting the shape down of these petals is really important. I have quite a small scale that I'm working with here. This is just a 6x6, and I'm doing quite a few marigolds. So if you're doing a larger piece, then you're going to be able to do a lot more detail than I have here. This is how I'm achieving the shape, folding it many times, and I like to use the side that you're seeing here, not the loopy side. And so that just allows me to cover more surface area and also continue to felt down in that exact shape that I just molded. And this is very similar if you watched my Foxgloves tutorial. This is exactly what I talk about in there as well. So same idea, except we're gonna just spread the top of the petals a little bit more when we're felting them down. And as always, if you want the flower petals to be a little bit more bulbous, then ensure that you do not felt down actually in the center of the petal, but rather just on the base and on the tip of the petal. I am just going to, because I have so many layers, just continue to felt down the whole petal, and that will just allow me to keep layering more and more and more. And then as you get into your layers, you can then start to make your petals more bulbous if you choose to do so. I just did probably like 100 layers on each flower, so I did not do that, but that is something you can experiment with as well. Like I said, this is a lot of layers of the same shape, and also each petal is very close to the one before it. So you're going to be creating this over and over and over and over and over again to put on a really good show. Excuse my baby in the background making noises. She pipes in and has enjoyed watching me make these marigolds as well. And so this is what it's looking like so far. I also want to mention, as you see on the far right of this, that I have different angles of marigolds. And although this is not super realistic to have these different angles happening here, as you'll probably see in all the pictures that you research, I like a more whimsical approach, and I like to include many different angles of flowers that I'm working with. So feel free to do this as well. And this is going to be a little bit more of a vibrant one that I'm doing here, just laying down some sunshine yellow, as you'll see on my website, and just working to lay my petals pretty close together. And then I'm going to be starting to work going inside of the petals that I just created. So we don't want any space in between, as you can see from the ones I've already created. Then we're going to take some mustard. So this is just a little bit darker of a yellow, more of that golden color for the marigold. And we're going to just start layering. Exactly same shape, just layering on top of the petals that you already created. And we're just going to continue to do this. So you're going to want to have a few different tints and shades, or if you can mix them yourself, of yellows, oranges, reds, or even pinks. There's pink marigolds too, but I like this variety. I think it's true to the name, and I think that's the one that most people know. But you're going to want to have a few different hues here for yourself, so you're able to really finger blend and card whatever different tints and shades. And as you can see, it's starting to get smaller and smaller and smaller as I'm continuing to move into the center of this marigold. And so creating that corn kernel shape becomes a little bit more challenging. So you might kind of end up with just kind of more lines or dots as you get in the middle of the marigolds, depending on how small it is that you're working. Again, if you're working really, really, really big, then you can have a lot more detail in how the curvature and the shape of your petals are. For the stem, I'm using a few different greens as always. I have a green pack on my website, which is really helpful for creating all different types of naturescapes. It's like a funnel shape it has at the top, and then I am going to continue to felt this down into the stem. So again, having a lot of different greens really helps with dimension. The greens I'm using here are summer grass and olive, and a little bit of evergreen as well, which is a little bit of a deeper green in other parts of the composition. So I really just finger blend these and let them sort of fall how they would like, and that just adds a little bit of light, a little bit of depth to the stem, and also to the leaves that you will be putting in as well. Something that I like to do as just a personal practice, because I like to work in so many different layers, is I like to add the leaves on my stems as I go. And although some of these will get covered by other things, I still like to have it there for dimension. Focusing on where my light is coming from, I like to finger blend again those greens that I talked about earlier, and I am just placing them down in the shape, same shape as I had for the actual petals, just letting them sort of fall a little bit more naturally and felting those down. And so you can really do whatever you'd like for the leaves. This is just how I like to do mine, just looking at, what the leaves look like with marigolds, and just doing my whimsical sort of version of those and laying them down in here. And then I'm going to be just sort of measuring with my heart. and adding as many leaves as I see fit. And so this kind of changes as I add more flowers. Then I kind of take a look at my composition and decide where I want to add more leaves to, darker ones, lighter ones, and make sure it's nice and balanced and even. As a reminder, be sure to pull your work off of your surface often, whether that's a sponge or a wool pad like I'm using here. You want to just make sure that you are not leaving that till the very end, especially if you're using a wool background and not like a linen background or any other material, just because it will distort your shape of your piece. In my classic whimsical fashion, I am going to continue to add flowers of different angles. I have ones that have completely bloomed, like in the middle, and then I have ones that are just beginning to bloom, also just out to the side. I'm also adding some foliage at the bottom just because I don't have any grasses I'm putting in here, and so I want to have a little bit more weight on the bottom of the composition holding these beautiful blooms. As always, if you enjoyed this video and videos like it, please be sure to give me a like and a follow and leave any comments and questions down below. I can't wait to see your work, and thank you for watching.